Have you ever made it through a tough situation and thought, how did I get through that? Maybe everything around you was crumbling, stress, confusion, heartbreak, but somehow something steadied you, a strange calm, a last-minute solution, a moment of clarity you couldn't explain. What if I told you that wasn't just luck? What if someone, not just anyone, but someone from your bloodline, someone who walked this earth long before you did, was watching over you in that exact moment? You see, we live in a world that moves fast. We're constantly distracted by screens, deadlines, noise. And in all that chaos, we miss things, important things, like the subtle, quiet ways our ancestors are still here with us, not just as memories, but as protectors, guiding forces, real presences. Now I know what you might be thinking. Isn't that just spiritual talk? Maybe. But here's the thing. It's not about whether you grew up lighting candles on an altar or hearing stories from your grandmother. This is about something deeper than belief. It's about the patterns, the feelings, and the coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. Ancestral protection isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with flashing lights or booming voices. In fact, it's usually the opposite. It comes in whispers, in gut instincts, in dreams you can't shake off, in peace that arrives when you need it most. Most of us have felt it. We just didn't have the words for it. This video isn't just going to talk about ancestral energy as some abstract spiritual idea. I'm going to walk you through 5 specific signs, real, concrete, and powerful, signs that your ancestors are actively protecting you right now. Not centuries ago, not in some vague symbolic way. I'm talking about today, this moment. And once you learn to spot these signs, really spot them, you'll start to notice something incredible. Your life isn't just a solo journey. It's a continuation, a living story, one that began long before you were born, and one that's being guided from behind the scenes by people who never stop loving you, even after death. I want you to think of this as a wake-up call, a chance to reconnect with the invisible support system that's been there for you all along. Because ignoring these signs is like having a guardian angel whispering in your ear and choosing to tune it out. So if you've ever felt like someone had your back when you couldn't explain why, or if you've experienced those goosebump moments that felt too perfect to be coincidence, this is your sign to stay. Watch closely, listen deeply, because in the next few minutes, what you learn might just shift the way you view your entire life and the unseen hands guiding it. Let's begin. 1. Dream visitations, messages in your sleep. Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt so real, so vivid, it lingered with you for hours or even days? Maybe you saw a face you've never met in real life, but deep down, it felt familiar. Or maybe you were walking through a place that doesn't exist on any map, but your heart knew it. That's not just your imagination running wild. That, my friend, may be the very first sign that your ancestors are reaching out to you. Now, we've all had strange dreams, the kind where your teeth fall out, or you're flying, or suddenly back in school without your pants on. That's your brain processing stress, random memories, or just throwing in a little nighttime weirdness. But ancestral dreams, they're different. You'll know it when it happens. They carry weight, emotion. You wake up not just remembering what you saw, but feeling it. Peace, comfort, even urgent clarity. In these dreams, you might meet an elder who looks like they stepped out of another century. You might find yourself surrounded by people you've never met, but somehow know. And that's because you do know them, not with your mind, but with your soul. I once spoke with a viewer who kept having the same dream, an elderly woman in a blue dress, standing beside a tree. She never spoke. She simply pointed to the tree over and over again. It was confusing at first. What did it mean? 2 weeks later, that same viewer found herself lost during a family emergency, scared, panicked, driving around unfamiliar streets. And then, there it was, the tree, the exact tree from her dreams. down to the curve of the branches and the moss on the bark. And just beyond that tree was the home of a distant relative who gave her the help she so desperately needed. Coincidence? Maybe. But I've heard too many stories like that to chalk it up to luck. You see, sleep is sacred. It's one of the only times our conscious, logical mind steps aside. And that's when the door opens. That's when our ancestors can step in, not with fear or chaos, but with guidance, with messages, with love. But here's the thing. Most people miss these messages. They wake up, check their phone, scroll through notifications, and forget everything within 5 minutes. That's why I want to share something simple that can change everything. Keep a dream journal. Not a fancy one, just a notebook by your bed. Or even the Notes app on your phone. The moment you wake up, write anything you remember. Even just a few words. Why? Because the more you practice remembering your dreams, the more detailed they become. It's like tuning a radio. Every time you listen, the signal gets clearer. And before long, you'll start seeing patterns, repeated symbols, familiar faces, messages that make sense only to you. And when you do have one of those vivid dreams, the kind that feels more like a memory than a fantasy, say thank you out loud. It might feel silly, but trust me, it matters. That simple moment of acknowledgement acts like a beacon. It lets your ancestors know you're listening, that you're open, that you're ready to receive more. We live in a world that celebrates logic, science, and evidence, and there's absolutely value in that. But we're also built for connection, for memory, for unseen bonds that stretch across time. Our ancestors are not gone, they're transformed. They're woven into the fabric of who we are. And when they visit us in dreams, they're not just saying hello, they're showing us that we are not alone. So tonight, when you lay your head down, remember this. Your dreams aren't just dreams. They could be bridges, invitations, whispers from those who came before you, offering guidance you didn't even know you needed. Listen closely, because sometimes the deepest truths aren't found in books or conversations, but in the quiet space between sleep and waking, where your ancestors still walk beside you. 2. Sudden calm in crisis, the emotional shield of ancestral protection. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever been in a situation where everything around you was falling apart, but somehow you didn't? I'm talking about those moments when fear should have taken over, when the stress was unbearable, when logic said you should be panicking, but instead a wave of calm washed over you like a warm blanket. You weren't just thinking clearly, you were feeling held, protected, supported. That's not just a coping mechanism. That's ancestral protection in its purest form. See, we often think of protection as something external, a seatbelt, a locked door, someone physically saving us from harm. But what about the internal shields we never asked for, yet somehow show up exactly when we need them most? I once heard a story that still gives me chills. A man was in a devastating car crash. His vehicle was totaled, glass everywhere, airbags deployed, smoke filling the air. It was the kind of situation where most people would freeze, or worse, completely fall apart. But not him. He described feeling a sudden warmth radiating through his chest and across his shoulders. He said it felt like someone was physically holding him, even though no one was there. Instead of panicking, he remained eerily calm, made the right decisions, crawled out safely, walked away with nothing but minor scrapes. Even the first responders couldn't believe how composed he was, but he didn't take the credit. He said, "It wasn't me. It was like someone else was with me, helping me through it." And that is the second powerful sign that your ancestors are still with you. Emotional protection in times of crisis. Let's be honest. Life throws things at us that we can't prepare for. Job loss, illness, betrayal, unexpected emergencies. And sometimes just making it through the day can feel like a battle. But there are moments, rare, almost sacred, when we're met not with panic, but with peace. If you've ever felt that, I want you to consider this. Maybe that serenity didn't come from nowhere. Maybe it was passed down, carried to you through blood and memory. Maybe in your moment of greatest need, someone who walked this earth long before you stepped in. And here's what's amazing. This kind of protection doesn't always show up as something mystical or dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, a sudden shift in emotion that doesn't match what's happening. Like feeling grounded during an argument when you'd usually snap, or breathing calmly during a disaster when everyone else is falling apart. These emotional shifts are real, and many people report physical sensations too, like a tingling at the back of the neck, a hand on their shoulder, or a warmth that seems to come from inside and out at the same time. You don't need to be spiritual to feel this. You just need to be open, because whether or not you believe in ancestral protection, it believes in you. It knows when you're about to break, and it shows up to hold you together. So how can you recognize when this is happening? Here's a simple habit that can change everything. The next time you're in a stressful or chaotic moment, pause. Check in with yourself. Are your emotions matching the situation? Or is something deeper going on? Something calmer, wiser, older? If you notice a sudden calm that defies logic, acknowledge it. You can say something as simple as, "Thank you. I feel you with me." That may sound small, but trust me, it's powerful. Gratitude is like a signal flare. It strengthens the bond, opens the channel wider, and allows more guidance to flow through. Because here's the truth, your ancestors want to protect you. But like any relationship, it gets stronger when it's mutual. When you notice their presence, when you speak back, when you carry their strength into the world. Think of it this way. You're not just one person walking through life. You're the culmination of generations of resilience, wisdom, and love. You carry their stories, their struggles, their strength, and in your hardest moments, they carry you. So the next time life shakes you and you somehow feel steady, don't brush it off. Don't call it luck. Call it what it is, a sacred inheritance, a spiritual safety net woven by the hands of those who came before you. They may be gone in body, but their love, their protection, that never left. 3. Synchronicity, when coincidence isn't coincidence. Let me ask you something a little strange, but honest. Have you ever experienced a moment so perfectly timed, so oddly specific, that you thought, okay, that can't just be a coincidence? Like thinking about someone you haven't seen in years and suddenly they text you. Or maybe you're overwhelmed, asking the universe for clarity, and then a stranger crosses your path and says exactly what you needed to hear. Not close, not kind of. Exactly. That, my friend, is not random. That's synchronicity, and it might just be one of the most powerful signs that your ancestors are actively guiding and protecting you. See, when people hear the word ancestor, they often think of black and white photos, dusty family trees, or traditions long gone. But your ancestors are more than just memories. They are energetic presences, and sometimes they speak through timing. Synchronicities are their language. Let me paint a picture for you. A woman was going through a rough patch. She just lost her job, her confidence was shaken, and she kept asking herself if she'd ever get back on track. One morning, while cleaning out her garage, she opened an old box she hadn't touched in years. Inside, a notebook that had belonged to her grandfather. On the very first page, a letter he'd written decades ago to his future grandchildren, filled with encouragement, wisdom, and the exact words she needed to hear in that moment. That's not just nostalgia, that's guidance. That's ancestral timing. Or how about this? A man running late to a meeting he'd been preparing for all week. He missed it, stuck in unexpected traffic. Frustrated and anxious, he later found out something serious had happened at that meeting location. What felt like a setback was actually protection, a detour arranged by something far greater than chance. These moments are not accidents, they are interventions. So how do you recognize when something is more than coincidence? Start by asking yourself two simple questions. Is the timing too perfect? Does this feel personally meaningful? Because ancestral synchronicities don't just appear at any time. They usually come when you're standing at a crossroads, when you're uncertain, vulnerable, or in need of direction, and they hit different. They carry an emotional resonance you can't explain, but you feel it deep in your gut. One of the most common ways people experience these signs is through numbers or symbols. Have you ever noticed a certain number popping up everywhere? Maybe it's a birth year, like 1954, on receipts, clocks, license plates. Or maybe it's a symbol, a feather, a specific animal, a song that follows you like an echo. These aren't just random repetitions. They're messages, gentle nudges from those who are watching over you. And here's what I recommend. Start keeping track. Keep a small log in your journal or even in your phone. Write down the date, the situation, and what showed up. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns, and those patterns will tell you who is guiding you and how. Synchronicity is subtle but powerful. It's not about control, it's about trust. It's a reminder that you're not walking this path alone, even if it feels like it. You're being guided, steered away from harm, nudged toward the right people, the right choices, the right moments. And I'll tell you what I've learned personally. Once you start recognizing these signs, you never unsee them again. You begin to realize how deeply woven your life is with the lives that came before you. Your ancestors don't just live in your past. They live in your instincts, your timing, your turning points. And they want one thing, for you to make it through wiser, stronger, more aligned than they were allowed to be. So the next time life hands you one of those, wait, what just happened? Moments, pause, feel it. Don't write it off. Write it down. Whisper a thank you, because that could very well be your grandmother, your great uncle, your distant ancestors stepping in, whispering through time and space. We're still here. Keep going. You're not alone. Fourth, ancestral memory. Why you're drawn to certain places, cultures, and traditions. Have you ever stepped into a place you've never been before, but felt like you somehow belong there? Or found yourself deeply moved by a type of music, food, or spiritual practice that doesn't match your upbringing, but speaks to something ancient inside you? That's not just nostalgia. That's not just curiosity. That, my friend, may be ancestral memory, and it could be your soul's way of reconnecting with the wisdom and protection passed down through generations. Let's talk about this. See, in today's world, we're often taught to define ourselves only by what we've lived through. Our resumes, our social history, our personal memories. But what if you're carrying more than just your own story? What if inside your body, within your cells, are echoes of places your ancestors once walked, songs they once sang, and traditions that once kept them strong? Science is now starting to catch up with what spiritual traditions have known for centuries. Our bodies carry more than just physical DNA. They carry emotional and spiritual memory too. It's called cellular memory, and it's why certain sights, sounds, or experiences awaken something deep in us, even when we can't explain why. I once met a woman from Michigan who had no known connection to West Africa, culturally or biologically, or so she thought. Yet since childhood, she had always been fascinated by drumming rituals from that region. One day, while taking a DNA ancestry test for fun, she discovered that a significant part of her lineage was, in fact, West African. Suddenly, her passion made sense. That wasn't just interest, that was remembrance. And maybe you felt it too. Maybe you've walked into an old cathedral or temple and felt like your breath caught in your chest. Maybe you've cooked a dish for the first time and it brought tears to your eyes, not because of the taste, but because something in it tasted like home. Or maybe there's a country or city you've always dreamed of visiting, even though you've never had a reason why. That's not random. That's your soul responding to a map written long before you were born. Your ancestors may be guiding you toward practices, places, and traditions that nourish your spirit in ways modern life never could. This isn't superstition, it's reconnection. But here's something important. When you feel that pull, honor it with humility. This is not about trend following or cultural appropriation. This is about curious respect, about asking, why does this resonate with me? And then taking the time to explore, learn, and honor the roots of what you feel drawn to. You don't have to know every detail of your lineage to follow these clues. Start small. Keep track of what stirs something deep in you. A specific genre of music, a type of ceremony, a holiday that holds more emotional weight than you can explain. These are breadcrumbs on the trail your ancestors have laid out for you. And the more you follow them, the more you'll begin to feel grounded, whole, not floating through life disconnected and scattered, but anchored like you're part of something timeless and unbreakable. What makes this kind of ancestral protection so powerful is that it heals identity. In a world where so many people feel lost, disconnected from community or purpose, these pulls toward ancestral memory become a kind of spiritual GPS, pointing you back to belonging. So the next time you feel drawn to a place that isn't on your bucket list or a ritual you didn't grow up with, pause, don't ignore it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What is my soul remembering? This is your bloodline speaking. This is your lineage reaching across time to say, you are not lost. We're still with you. You're walking paths we once knew, and we're guiding you back to your strength. Follow the pull, not blindly, but reverently. Let it lead you back to the practices and places that make you feel whole. Because that feeling isn't random. It's the oldest part of you, coming home. 5. Inherited intuition, the skills you never learned, but somehow know. Have you ever just known something without knowing how? Maybe you walked into a room and instantly sensed that something was off before anyone said a word. Or maybe you handled a situation with surprising skill, like your hands or your heart knew what to do, even though your mind had no prior training. That kind of knowing isn't random. It's not magic either. It's ancestral intelligence, and it may be one of the most powerful forms of protection your lineage has ever given you. Let's break this down. We usually think of wisdom as something we earn, something we gain through life experience, books, education, or mentors. But sometimes wisdom arrives without warning. You didn't study it. No one taught it to you. It just shows up when you need it most. That's inherited intuition, and it's real. There's even a growing body of science behind this. Researchers are discovering that certain types of memory, especially those tied to survival, trauma, and deep knowledge, can actually be passed down through our DNA. It's called genetic memory. And while science is still catching up, spiritual traditions have been whispering this truth for thousands of years. Your ancestors live inside you, not just through stories, but through your instincts, your insights, and your gifts. Here's an incredible real-life example. A woman once told me that during a family gathering, her young son suddenly began identifying herbs in the backyard correctly. He knew which were calming, which could treat a headache, which ones to avoid. No one had taught him this. When she asked her grandmother about it, the older woman went silent. Then she said, "That was your great-great-grandmother's gift. She was a healer. Maybe he got her hands." This is what ancestral intuition looks like. It can come through in big, dramatic moments or in small, quiet ones. Maybe you've always been great with animals, even the most anxious ones. Maybe you have an ear for music without ever learning how to read notes. Maybe you instinctively know how to calm a crying baby or resolve conflict between people. You didn't learn these skills, they were gifted to you. But here's the part that matters most. You have to honor those gifts. Intuition may show up unannounced, but it only sticks around when it's welcome. So the next time you feel that sudden clarity, like you just know what to do, pause. Don't dismiss it. Say thank you, literally. Say, "Thank you, ancestors. I feel you. I receive this." That small moment of gratitude sends a signal: I'm paying attention. I'm listening. I'm ready to use this. And if you notice a recurring skill or gift surfacing in your life, nurture it, practice it, study it. Because here's the deal: your ancestors may light the spark, but it's your job to build the fire. Let's say you've always had an intuitive grasp of emotional dynamics. You just know when someone's not telling the truth or when someone needs encouragement. That's not luck. That's a form of spiritual and emotional intelligence that may have protected your family line for generations. And now it lives in you. Or maybe you're naturally drawn to gardening, holistic healing, negotiation, woodworking, storytelling. The list is endless. And it doesn't matter if your current life explains it or not. What matters is this: these gifts didn't randomly show up in your soul. They were planted there by people who came before you and knew you'd need them someday. Here's something to reflect on. What skills do you have that no one taught you? What talents or instincts show up in your life like whispers from a deeper place? Take a moment to answer that. Write it down. Own it. Because when you embrace those intuitive abilities, you're not just strengthening yourself, you're strengthening your connection to your lineage. You're saying, I remember you, I honor you, and I'll carry your wisdom forward. And here's the most powerful part. These gifts aren't just for your benefit. They may be what helps you protect someone else, heal someone else, lead someone else. Your ancestors didn't pass them down for you to hide them. They passed them down because they knew this world still needed them, and they trusted you to carry them. So the next time you just know, trust it. That voice inside you, that steady hand, that gut feeling, it's not just instinct, it's inheritance, it's protection, and it's sacred. So now that we've walked through all 5 powerful signs, let's take a moment to reflect on what they truly mean for you. You've learned how your ancestors may reach out to you through vivid dreams, how they wrap you in unexpected calm when life is falling apart, how they speak in perfectly timed coincidences that guide your path, how your soul responds to unexplained pull toward places, traditions, or practices, and how they've gifted you intuition and skills you never officially learned, but deeply know. These aren't random events. These are reminders, gentle confirmations that you are not walking this journey alone. You are the living continuation of those who came before you. Their wisdom flows through your decisions. Their courage lives in your resilience. Their love surrounds you even when you don't realize it. But here's the most important part. You don't have to wait for a crisis to connect with them. You can choose to strengthen that bond every single day through small but powerful acts. Put up a photo, light a candle, place an heirloom where you'll see it often. Say a quiet thank you when intuition strikes. Talk to them like you would a mentor or guide, because that's exactly what they are. Not ghosts, not relics of the past, but active protectors in your present. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection, because this connection, it's not something you have to earn. It's your birthright. And the more you lean into it, the more you'll notice its presence in your peace, in your instincts, in the timing of things that just work out. So here's my question to you. Which of these 5 signs have you already experienced? What have your ancestors been trying to tell you that you're finally ready to hear? I'd love to know. Seriously, scroll down and leave a comment. Tell me your story. Let's create a space where we can share, learn, and honor the invisible threads that hold us all together. And if this video spoke to something inside you, if it opened a door, or even just gave you one new perspective, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got more videos coming that dive even deeper into ancestral connection, inner wisdom, and spiritual strength. And one last thing, share this with someone who might need it. Maybe they're struggling right now, feeling lost or alone. This video might just remind them that they've never truly been alone at all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for remembering. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay rooted, stay open, and always, always honor where you come from.